Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. Welcome. Welcome here at SpartanTrading.com. It is Thursday morning. Earnings, more earnings, and of course, the illustrious CPI. Wall of worry going on right now, right? Lots of big macro constructs going on. All within the reality that we're still in a bull market on the weekly, monthly charts. We're having a pullback. I'm looking at the 10 EMA and the weekly, and a lot of those names because are actually lining up with the 50 EMA on the daily, which is kind of interesting, right? I'm not sure, I'm just kind of mucking around here. I've had these, playing things on the downside right now. But I'm not as bearish as everybody else is, because the market's pretty efficient, right? I mean, it's already taken a lot of things down, right? The whole narrative of deflation out of China. Let's see what the CPI is. Okay, so expectation 0.2, core 4.8, inflation rate 3.1. Expectation, I don't know. I don't even know if it matters at this point in time, but we'll see. I don't even know if it matters at this point in time. We have multiple Fed heads talking this afternoon. Herker, Bostic. Herker twice, not once, but twice. Yay. Overnight, anything interesting? Not really. I mean, consumer inflation expectations 4.9 versus 5.2 out of Australia. Like I say, I like to look at Australia because obviously with the commodities and this and that, lot of talk going on the natural gas side, right, with the strike and the changes in Australia. Something to say about that. I mean, and then basically Bobalicious, right? Novo Nordisk. Some really nice names today, right? Cyborg guided higher. Let's make sure this is all up to date right now. Okay. Bobalicious, 5.2% growth, top and bottom. Really, it was definitely a surprise, right? 39%, right? In terms of, and then the revenue growth, right? Novo Nordisk, same thing, right? Down, up, all the way around cyber. Capri, that's really quite something, right? That buyout. Okay. Holdings downgrade was Hainesbrand. Yeah, I mean the way of the dodo bird with that one. WWW Wolverine. Some guy going higher. Go. And ABL. What else we got? Yeti. I like my Yeti. Right? And PRTH guided higher. Some things just kind of, well, you can see. We're getting into the sloppy, choppy dregs, right? So we saw with TDD, all these things, right, are starting to add up. Okay. Australia labor strike risks 10% of global LNG and threat of new energy shock. Global exports. I personally think that's going to, that makes sense to me. Okay, I mean, everyone for themselves, right? Okay, that's all I have to say. Once again, I continue to look at what's going on here. June 2024. Not a lot of movement happening right now. I still just don't see how we're going to get these rate cuts, but that's my personal opinion. I go, okay, so here's the drill. You raise prices. that's okay. You raise prices. That takes you from a negative to a positive. Is it sustainable? No. Commerce Bank, what's going on there. Disney to launch cheaper ad-supported service in UK. Plan to cancel after major price hike announced. Okay. Is it? Let's see. Luxury section. And yeah. Real estate market has WeWork's survival and substantial down. Yay. U.S. economy, story of inflation has turned a chapter. Okay. Coach, there you go. There's the news. Climb, Disney, Win, Bostool, CPI to tick higher, mortgage rates, yada, yada, yada. All right, well, that's pimpology right there. Okay, so this is a hang your head in shame sort of thing. Government support of Ukraine since February 2022. Percentage of GDP. Wow, 0.3%. We're really going out. Anyways, Latvia, Estonia would make sense, Poland, Lithuania, all the neighboring countries. It just disgusts me. Energy stocks to S&P ratio. Like I say, in terms of valuation, right? It's still pretty low. Started to pound the table here, that. Let's see what happens with it. It would make sense to me, to be honest with you, but, Russia will launch its own digital currency. The more we condition the use of the dollar in our financial system on adherence to U.S. foreign policy, the more the risk of migration to other currencies and other financial systems in the medium term grows. Former U.S. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew, 2016. Now, this is really surprising. Okay, this is above the 200-day moving average. You would think, yeah, but no, this is the NASDAQ, the IWM, and this is the SPY. Not what you would have thought, right? So the SPY participants, 66% and 43% on the tech side. which is not something you would expect. Yesterday, what happened here? Q's put call. There was some interesting stuff that went on at the close. I posted it. Some call sweeps and some in QQQ and SPY. Not a lot, but interestingly enough, right? So we shall see what happens here. No idea, but anyways, July CPI should be a positive. So of course, you got well below street consensus of 0.22%. This is from Fundstrat. Okay. Tell me, boy. Okay. Anyways, see what happens. Alibaba, Babalicious. Russia will send free grain to Africa in the nearest future. Okay, this is part of that BRICS narrative. It's the next step in the Belt and Road Initiative from Xi. This is what it looks like. Okay, you get more and more countries ingrained in what you're doing, right? Let me go to here. Let me go. Biggest stock movers, Plug Power, App Lovin, Bristol Myers, $4 billion. I mean, this is what you do with free cash flow, I guess, right? Yeah. Roblox rebounds more. Well, yeah, I bought a little Roblox. I'm laying down here. I said, well, what the hell right now, right? That's the worst case. Right? I don't have a lot, but you know, enough to make my life interesting, right? Nat gas price spike. Sure, we know about that. Biden issues order restricting certain U.S. tech investments in China. UK most the same. Software, CyberArk, Chinese companies order NVIDIA chips with $5 billion. Amid fears, well, I would be stockpiling too. It's Tapestry, Capri. Okay. What do we got? CPI. Look, you know, I'm not smart enough at this point in time, okay, to figure out yesterday I said at the lows that the risk reward that we would bounce, okay, and we did bounce. I still think I'm going to stick with the seasonality, and this is kind of what it looks like. So you've got this low coming today, and you've got this bounce. Okay, this is out of 37 years, so I'm not messing around here. So 1.22%. I mean, and then you've got this pullback coming in right here of 1.74%. Not a good look, right? 5.37 versus 2.71. And this is 20 out of 37. So I mean, once again, statistically, this is a tough, this is really, and this is the NDX. This is really tough right now, friends. Right? So I mean, I don't know. China and US investment goods have limited impact on China's targeted tech sectors. Okay. How high will the funds be? US tech investment curves. For those of you old enough to remember the Cold War with Russia, I don't understand the construct. I just don't. Look, judge not lest ye be judged, because I can tell you a lot of the stuff that the US is saying the Chinese do. We do the same thing in terms of spying and stuff like that. I just find it disingenuous. I just do. So like I said, SPY, QQQ, these little sweeps came in after hours. 200,000. I thought that was kind of interesting. Okay, we don't have a lot to go by. Groupon, HLIT, MOTX, Southern Corp. I mean, we don't, people on vacation. Okay, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Right? EGTI, I mean, I just, what am I going to tell you? GOTX, that's robust, Piper Sandler, but 44%. I mean, I can't get excited about some of this stuff. Let's see what we got. A lot of maintain, reiterations. We do have some, overweight stuff going on, outperformance stuff going on. But I mean, it's really hard to get, excited. Okay, so let's talk. This is the wall of worry, right? This is where everybody's saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Valuations have jumped, as have fixed income yields as we enter the fall. And we know the seasonality narrative, September, October, whatever you want to call it, or whatever. Okay. Entering the fall with high yields and high notes equals plus weak seasonality equals trouble. I mean, this is it. I mean, this goes back to 1928. So the problem lies, this goes back to 1928. And the last time this happened was 10 years ago. Okay. Now, you can see here the market, right? One week, 2 week, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Okay. Now, 1 week later, the statistical probability is 85%, 1%. Okay. But the thing that I'm saying right now is, and there's no question about it, this is a negative bias, but 1% statistical average, I mean, average max loss is 1%. Okay, gain 1.9%, 4%. The efficiency of this market and the speed in which we do these things is really breathtaking, right? Really breathtaking. Not so much with the indices in and of itself, and this is the problem with the indices in and of itself, but individual tickers, right? Just okay. What are the worst? Energy materials, right? 2 weeks out, everybody's down. And then 1 year out, everybody's up. Literally. 6 months, most are up. Okay. I don't know. All right, seasonality. Okay, Southwest, Pass, Royal Caribbean, well, that's been printing forever and a day. Expeditors International, what? Okay. CRH, American Express, Ralph Lauren, Walmart, as you can see here, Apple's still printing, Tyson, Jack Henry and Associates, Puma, right? So, okay. Well, I don't know if that says much. Just, I understand, but I understand. But anyways, they could buy out the country if they wanted to. They could own their own country. Well, I understand, but I mean, it's Denmark. I'm sure there's a lot of others that surpass Denmark's GDP. Okay. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about China today, Let's talk. Yields, well, I don't know. Twin says the same thing, I don't know. Okay, well, look, we bounced hard off of the 114 on the 10-year. That's the bottom end of the ranges, and that's why I said as long as that holds, you want to buy, and that's why I started buying that CROC. Okay. I don't know what to tell you right now, to be honest with you. I mean, yields are up overseas, right? Down across the board, Asia Pacific. the more and more isolationist we become, the more and more, look, you can't have it both ways. Okay. I'm a globalist. I don't like isolationist policy. There, I said it out loud. Okay. And it's just because no good comes from it from a long-term perspective in terms of goods and services. Okay. That's my story. If you look at the combination of BRICS right now with India and China together, okay, it's a big force to be reckoned with. You got all these other countries joining it. No good comes from these pissing match back and forth and all the way around. To what end? Okay, to what end? Does anyone really think, okay, that the United States, okay, over time, that this is a good policy in terms against China? I don't understand. Restrictive policy, long term, it's problematic because then you have retaliation, and then it's just not a good thing. See what's going on here. Okay, so this is the balance sheet. This is total assets. Okay, tell me what's going on. Did it update yet? Nope. Roger, did it update the balance sheet? No, it's behind. Okay, yay. Whatever. Now let's take a look at what I consider to be the biggest problem. Okay. It's productivity. You can a lot of woes are taken care of as long as your productivity goes up as a counterbalance for a lot of things, right? I'm just, I just think that it's important to understand that a lot of things offset all kinds of stuff with productivity. Now, don't forget that AI, the impact in terms of productivity, right? I mean, we are just starting to see the scratch of the surface. I have no idea. I don't think so, twins. Do you? Yeah, I have to agree with that. All right, so here's the 210, right? Once again, continues to hold this key pivot, right? It's important and noteworthy. Right? And if you look in terms of the inversion, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It should have happened. The recession should have happened already. That's all I can tell you right now. Here's the P10, right? Projections all over the place, but this is January 2024, and that's when we start to see these the Fed funds starting to get cut. This is where they're getting it from. Come on, historically, it's, they look in terms of how long before the recession hits, based off of the inversion, yada yada yada. This is not rocket science, but 1 + 1 has not equaled 2 for a year now in this market, right? In the economy. And I beg to argue that it's still a function of quantitative easing, right? $2.5 bouncing. 5.10 bounced, right? Almost flat now on the inversion. Here's the TLT. I mean, this is not a pretty looking chart. I understand. Okay. All right, so let's just clear this out. So you can see right here, right, what this looks like. Okay. Quadrant top. This is when I said you got to either sell or buy hedges, and then here's the bottom. Okay. Risk reward, right? So technically, if this low holds, we did make a lower high on the monthly, a higher low, sorry. Now, if I adjust it this way, okay, we can look at this like this. Now, don't forget this is a monthly chart, right? So if it reclaims this pivot right here, which is 99.84, that's actually pretty bullish. Okay. Say, here's my 10-year. So I could look at this as well. Once again, this was the key pivot here on the 10-year, and it held. Okay. 113.15.5. Got down to the 78.6% fib, almost in bounds. So we got a double bottom here, we got a double bottom here, and we're reclaiming this pivot. Okay. This is nothing more than a range. This could take years the way we're going. Okay. Think about this. We entered this range in September. This is a year almost, right? Consolidation sideways, up and down and on. I literally have no idea how that plays out. Chinese, 10-year, German, 10-year. Okay. Dollar, nothing there right now. I am a proponent, and I've kind of said this a few times, I am a proponent of the dollar devalue. Okay. It may be 5 years down the road, whatever, but I am a proponent of that. It happens, and that's just because people just don't want to deal with politics, the US politics. Okay, and it just overweighs so heavily. And it's a decoupling that's going to go on. It's going to take years and years and years, but it is going to happen. I'm just being obvious with you guys. Okay, if you don't see that, okay, you think I'm crazy, that's okay too. But my big picture ideas, if for those of you who've been in the room for years, okay, pretty damn good. Okay. And that's just what I see, because I'm a globalist and I know what's going on, and I've worked overseas, and I know, you know, people don't like the United States. Gold is up slightly, copper, you know, the whack-a-mole. Okay, I still think when a commodity super cycle, we'll see how it plays there. Natty gas popping a little bit there, crude a little bit down. Some of these precious metals, corn, soybeans, you know the drill there. This is you add climate change, for whatever you believe in it or not, it's factual. Something's going on here, right? All of this stuff layers down into inflation. All of it, you know, you have to understand commodities are basically, a lot of commodities are a function of crops, okay? Even when you look in terms of what's going on, like with Australia, with the strikes and this and that, I mean, there's a lot of supply chain disruption, but more than that, okay, how are you going to feed your cattle, your chickens, all this stuff when the feed is going up nonstop, right? That's just how it works. That's why I think DBC is really holding up well here, friends. I mean, I'm very surprised by how well that's holding up. Natty gas. Okay. See the Bollinger starting to turn up. That's fine. It did hit, as you can see, this pivot point right here. Okay. I trimmed a little bit back, not much. I mean, whatever. Oil. Okay, let's talk about oil. So, and I'm saying, if you basically don't pay attention, these commodities creep up on you, and before you know it, you're up 40%. Just saying, before you know it, you're up 40%. Okay, well, that's just how it works. Okay. So let me ask you this, twins, with the bond market. What would make you buy bonds? What would have to happen for you to buy bonds? You already, I mean, everybody's got bonds on. So how does it move high? How do the prices move up? Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say is, how do the prices move up in bonds if everybody's got the bonds? Who buys? That's the question. And it can't be retail. Exactly. Okay. All right. Yeah. Look, bonds is a model, right? In terms of exposure, whether you believe in 70-30, 80-20, it doesn't matter. You always get asset managers, institutions are always going to have bonds on, right? It's a question of the weighting of it. It was crazy town with the 60% bonds, right? 40% equity. Okay, well, that's kind of changed now, right? But I don't know. Like I say, how does it move? That's my problem now. How does it move? I don't know. I don't know. Crude natural gas. It's interesting how this crude is still holding this 10 AMA on the monthly. So if you're dealing commodities, friends, you really got to look at bigger picture monthly charts, weekly minimum, but mainly monthly, stuff like that. Here, I would need to see something that makes it compelling trade. I mean, it would have to be a crazy ass CPI on the low side. So Twin said this yesterday to me. We'll see what and to us. We'll see what it looks like to see whether he starts to buy back some equity that he trimmed. We'll see. I still think it's slicey dice. From mid-August, okay, until mid-September, we're going to have that stability of maybe 1-2% moves historically that I've been talking about in the NASDAQ. And then September to October is not a good look, right? And then you get the buying going on. Now, this is the kicker, okay? We have to start factoring in, I'm going to tell you a little secret. You have to look at presidential elections going into 2024 when you're looking at seasonality. Just tell me, okay? Because it does matter. Okay. All right, here's crude. 83.34, still above it. Let's see if we can close above it. This is a monthly, obviously, right? Here's gold crude really kind of sinking right there. Right? Here's gold, still holding 10 AMA. Okay, and here's silver, looking much worse, right? Let's take a look at what's the number, please. Yields flatlining. Okay, in line. Thank you, twins. Okay. See what happens. Let's see what happens here. Okay, SPY's starting to pop. See what happens. Looks like the sky didn't fall. Markets are going up. Nice. Green across the board, and then obviously red overseas, but China obviously up, Nikkei's up, yada yada. Let's see if we can get our rally caps on. I have some nice stuff. I think our TQQQ will work for us. Okay. For Friday. See if we can get it. It's almost in the money. Those 41 calls. Okay, DAX. Held the pivot breakout here. Going back to 2021. Let's see if we can rally. Like I say, right now for me, the risk rewards to the upside for the next month. That's just seasonality. If I'm going to go, I can't go beyond that, right? All right. Let's take a look at, let's do the transports. Okay, here's the Dow transports against the SPY double top. That's important. Okay. But interestingly enough, it did hold the 100 EMA in the monthly, but keep an eye on this. This is important. All right, so you know the Dow transports double top in the Dow transports against the FANG. Okay. DAX we talked about, FTSE. held, Fez, held. All of this was a retracement back to previous support lines, pivots, okay? EFA, held. Small caps, China, I have to go back to the transports, held, right? Let's take a look at our CQQQ, please. It's down the line, I'll do that later, okay? EFA, this is small caps, and this is Chinese small caps. Keep an eye on this, right? IWM versus China, small caps, CQQQ. Okay, so where are we here? 4167. This is pretty much the pivot right here, right, guys? Right there. Put a price on it. $43.98. Okay, see what happens. QQQ, CQQ. This is flagging. This is really just flat. Yeah, it's okay. Gold is rallying a little bit, which is kind of interesting, right? Let's see. Let's see what the pullback looks like, my friends. FXI, reversion to the mean, still holding, right? 30.01 is that pivot right there, but let's move this up to here. $30.77, $30.54. Okay. 1905. Work to be done. Here's A shares. Interesting. Normally you would see unusual call sweeps in the A shares, and we're not really seeing it. I mean, nobody really, I mean, let's be honest, kicking and screaming, right? Nobody wants to be involved at this point in time. Hey, Webb. How the sport, it's pinned right now between two fibs, 38.2 and 23.6%. Hey, Webb A shares. Interesting. I would have thought this would pop the top, but let's just keep an eye on that, right? Here's MCHI. Trying to break out. Hasn't yet. MCHI, KWeb. As you can see, consolidated. There's no real. The one that I really like is consumer discretionary. Chicks. Love that name. Lots of work still, but the positive side is that it is holding the support. Right? So. FXI chicks. Not much going on there. EEM. I do have some EEM. I want to see this pop this top. Okay, so it's trying. I mean, it's consolidation. I mean, we got the double top. Still range bound. I mean, nothing really happens until we start breaking these monthly ranges. Here's yen. Really, this is fascinating to see this consolidation range. This goes all the way back for the whole year, but when you look at it longer term, this is a key pivot right here. So, as you can see, right here. Boop, 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 boop. For the most part, and then if you really bring it down, it's down to here. Okay. Work to be done. Bobalicious. Okay, let's see what happens here. I think I'm going to move this up a little bit here on the monthly. Okay, right there. All right, so what's the good news here? All right. The good news is it's holding the 10 EMA on the monthly. And it's holding the 21 EMA, the reversion to the mean on the monthly. Still has to pop this top, and that top comes in at 101.20, something like that. And then you've got the 20 EMA up here. So a lot of work to be done still. If we can start breaking through some of this resistance, you're talking basically 120 again, 120 to 130. Well, we'll see. See if it holds up. You know, okay, that I'm long Bobby. You know I got Baidu. You know I've got JD. You know I've got PDD. You know I've got the Golden Dragon. And you know I am hedged, okay, at all times. Okay, and I'm willing to give up on my gains for peace of mind with that hedge. Okay. Baba K Web, this is going to be interesting. Baba Baidu. Okay, so I think what we're going to see is an outperformance starting to happen if Baba. Okay. I mean, look, Baba's been basically gutted. I mean, since the peak right here, right? So if you look in terms of the devaluation of Baba, right, from its peak against something like a Baidu, it's 72%. Is Baba worth more than Baidu? Is Baba more worthy? We'll see. These are the questions I ask. So why do I ask this question? Because I want to know on an overweight, who do I want to be overweight? Okay, do I want to be in Baba over Baidu? It's Peter to give to Paul, right? Here's Baba chicks. All of this stuff is telling me the same thing. Baba is consolidation, okay? Multi-month, this is, basically, yearly consolidation going on right now, okay? If we start to break, then Baba should be the leader in the rally, the next rally. Now, Baba is obviously, JD was taken to the woodshed toward feather, and now obviously that made that move, and you can see what happens when it makes these moves, okay? So went from $1.90, so you can see here. Okay? This is why I'm watching these things, because on the breakout here, okay, that's a 32% outperformance in Baba. So that was Baba, you could be being long Baba, short JD, okay? Here's Baba PDD, this has not moved yet. Okay, this one could stay where it is. I love PDD, you know that, okay? Baba Tencent, nothing there, same thing, still yearly consolidation. His Tencent, I really don't have any, but I still like to look at it, okay? JD, now, this is really interesting because JD, on a valuation basis, I think JD is inexpensive. Z-Moon, Zillow. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Okay. I have a nice little P&L pop, and I'm not sure what's going on, but watch Portillo. I just want to say, it's got, all right, so I just want to share this with you because this is how I come up with some of my stuff. We're going to do the Dow Transports really fast. Here's the Dow Transports. Keep an eye on this, obviously. I have a stop entry on T4, okay? So that's what that looks like. Transports, topping, pulling back, all right? Here's the Dow Transports against the Qs, double top, triple top, okay, on that. Here's the transports against, well, see what happens here. So obviously the transports still look great against the IWM. Here's the FedEx against the transports, okay? So this is really interesting. So this is going to, looks like it could be
ready to pop on whatever here. Okay. Ready, guys? What's up? Morning. What's going on? Let's take a look at what we got going on today. If you guys are new to chat and haven't already done so, make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. You're gonna pop in a chat. It's gonna look something a little bit like this. For sure to go to when you guys do come in, disclaimer section, click on that, give it a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section and scroll to the very, very top. Top of the section, see a link to the disclaimer as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both, guys. In regards to risk reward, most important ratio in trading, click on that risk reward section. Click on this first video here, watch that, get a profile that matches to you and your account in terms of risk reward, and then use that in conjunction with the risk reward calculator and how to use the risk reward calculator. The video is right below there. If you use those two together, you're going to understand how to, where to put your stops, what your profit targets are, et cetera, for anything that you do take on the options or equity side. And yeah, you don't have to worry about risk reward as much anymore. Continue to scroll down, summary of how this chat works, breaks all these channels work on the left-hand side, so you can probably navigate the chat throughout the day. It's an important scenario to be looking. Continue to scroll down, how to read alerts on the options and equity side, breaking down how to read alerts on both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Below that, we have the options rules that we use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading different price contracts, etc., etc. SPX rules that we use every single day right below that. Continue to scroll down, and the small account list 10K, breaking down into the smaller account list 10K, some rules, information, discipline put in place. You better have a better chance of growing that account. How to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective below that. And last but not least, I can get your small account trades posted in that section when they do make sense. All right, let's take a look what we got going on today, guys. A couple different things. All right, there we go. All right, so we got Tesla, SWAV, Cyber, AAP, RL, Edible. Tesla gapping up to the market. SWAV, Shockwave Medical, announces proposed private offering of $500 million to convertible senior notes, gapping down. Cyber, ARK announced a strong second quarter 2023 results for the earnings. AAP gapping down on earnings, RL gapping up on earnings, and so was EDBL gapping up as well. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So what do we got going on today? So Tesla, guys, a little bit of a gap up. Still think it looks okay. The chart is, primarily stuck in a downwards channel at the moment. We're at the bottom of it. So I'm thinking that we might get a little bit of a bounce based off of that. Just kind of show you what I mean here. I'm going to draw the bottom end of this channel so you can kind of see what I'm looking at. The kind of if you're bouncing off kind of the bottom end of it. Of course, if we drew the top end, there it is. It's the resistance point, didn't I? So there's your channel on obviously Tesla, and I think it's important to know where that is. Market's kind of in that channel as well, right? We talked about that yesterday. We actually traded off of it quite a bit. So you're off the bottom end of the channel at the moment, and we're going to be using that as your pivot. 240. 44 levels able to hold 247.47 to last day's high 251.14. Unable to hold, we're looking for a pullback towards 233.35 to 229.31. Leaning bullish neutral, looking for a hold the bottom end channel, a little bit of a bounce within it today. That's what I'm thinking. So that is Tesla. Let's take a look at Let's take a look at SWAV. So they do a little bit of an offer in there, gapping down. It's not like a huge gap down, but it is a beaten down name from earnings. I think that in itself is a little bit notable. The fact that they did an offering after it sold off is kind of ridiculous, but okay. I'd be pretty pissed. Let's take a look at the signature. Pivot 224.94 level holds 223.18 to 239.36. Unable to hold 215.75, 210.09 or 210.19. Sorry, downside leaning bearish. Looking for a continuation lower if the pivot is unable to hold. In my opinion, it deserves to go lower. So that is SWAV. That is Tesla. Let's take a screenshot of this. These two. Let's move on to the next. Cyber and then AAP. Cyber 150 gapping up a little bit. I like the chart on here. Always like when we get a lot of levels to go off. Okay, pivot 148.61 levels able to hold. You got room towards the 151.05, 152.47, and then 154.21. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 145.96 to 142.99 on the downside, leaning bullish. Looking for continuation towards the upside today if the pivot point is able to hold. AAP. So AP 72.18 pivot to the upside today. Level holds. You're gonna have room towards 73.44 to 74.91. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 70.23 to 68.88 downside leaning bullish neutral on AAP. If it can hold that, or if it can get back above its pivot, I should say. That's cyber, that's AAP. Let's take a look at RL and edible. The RL gapping down on earnings. Okay, 122.61 pivots to the downside today. Levels able to hold. We're towards 124.64 to 127.26. Unable to hold. Oh, sorry, 124 to 94 pivot level holds 127.28 to 128.856. Unable to hold 122.61, 120.57. I'm actually leaning bullish. I don't think it can get a little bit of a bounce back today, in my opinion. Earnings weren't too bad, so that's what I'm thinking at the moment. EDBL edible. All right, 180 pivot to the upside today. Level holds 210. Unable to hold 150, 121. Above 210, we have room towards the 263 spot on the upside. Leaning bullish neutral on EDBL today. All right, let's take a look at the spy and the fang. All right, so SPY guys pivot to the upside today, 447.45, level holds 450.95 to 453.59. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 444.56 to 441.49 downside. Maybe leaning bullish neutral at the moment, looking for a continuation push higher. Just be aware of the channel guys that did break to the upsiders. Well, it's obviously a bullish thing at the moment, and we'll see how well it holds up. Just gonna roll in a little bit here. Okay. Let's take a look at the rest of the FANG here. Apple, starting with that. All right, Apple, let's have a gander. Obviously, a little bit of a push to the upside here as well. 179.85 pivot level holds 182.09, 183.35, unable to hold 179 or 176.87 to 173.70 leading bullish neutral. Amazon pivot to the upside today. 139.72 level holds 143.79, unable to hold 135.29 on the downside, leading bullish neutral there as well. Let's screenshot of both of these real quick. Now let's take a look at Netflix. 429.71 pivot level holds 441.71 to 458.54. Unable to hold 418.37 to 412.10 on the downside, leading bullish neutral. Looking for a continuation push to the upside today. If the pivot's able to hold. Let's take a look at Meta. And Google. Euro 945 pivot level holds 1317.25 to 329.33. Unable to hold 387 298.18 downside leading bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if the pivot point is able to hold. That's Meta. Let's take a look at Google. Google 131.07 pivot level holds 132.18. Unable to hold 129.01 to 126.94 downside leading bullish neutral. Looking for a continuation push to the upside today if the pivot's able to hold. Let's take a look at Netflix. Or sorry, not Netflix. VIX real quick. Q's WIWM. $15.66 pivot level hold 16.34, 16.99. Unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards 14.95 to the 14.58 spot on the downside. Leaning on the not leaning any direction, but using this for direction on this buy, of course. So we'll keep an eye on the VIX. QQQs. $372.40 pivot level holds 375.77 through 72 to 378.01. Unable to hold 369.41, 367.42. Going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side of the Qs as well, guys. Looking for a continuation push to the upside today. And then the last but not least, guys, SPX. So SPX 44.86 pivot level holds 45.03, 45.20, sorry. Unable to hold 44.76, 44.63. All right, gonna be passing over to South Beach here, guys, and then we'll do a quick little recap before the open. South Beach, Freddie, it's all yours, my friend.
Okay, hey guys. All right, so we got one of the two numbers behind us, right? CPI. Let's look at it first. So let's look at the technicals, because that's the most important thing, right? So you have a 10-17 cross on the daily, which I've stressed to you is not the overriding theme. Okay, you got to look at the weekly. The weekly is still positive. So you have to be either neutral or bullish. Yeah, I don't see how you can be negative in this tape. Okay. And the Qs are basically the same. They act worse. They're on the daily, they're coming to the 50-day moving average. I'd like to see that hold. It looks like it will, but you never know. And there is a 10-17 cross on the daily. But you have to be no worse than neutral to bullish, because it's just not a negative setup, not yet anyway. Okay. So that's the technicals. Now let's look at the CPI. The month over month came in right in line, 2.2. Actual came in 3.2 versus 3.3, so slightly better there. Core came in month over month, this, right in line, 0.2, and the core year over year slightly better, 4.7 versus 4.8. Initial claims were also 248 versus, I think they were looking for 230. So that would point to a little less constructive on the job market, which is bullish, right? Because that's been a sticking point. So by and large, within expectations to slightly better than expectations, right? So now let's look at the bond market. The 10-year is below 4%, but the move today is really not that meaningful. Okay, minus 0.03. So we're at 398. Okay, I think we got as high as, but I think they spiked at like 416 last week or something to that effect. So down handily from there. But this is the range we've been seeing. This is the level. You're going to get volatility. The 210 spread is down to what, 78, which is basically where it was yesterday. It was over 1 for a bit. 6-month bills are at their highs, or been at these highs for a while, and this and the 1 year is within a pitch shot of the highs there. So rates staying somewhat elevated, but that's what it is. Okay, so you look in London, rates are down a little bit there across the board. Germany up slightly across the board, not a whole lot of movement in the rate front. And I think that's going to be a trend. Okay, I don't see a big move in rates going up, and I really don't see any movement going down. So I think we trade at these levels, and 4%, 30 years. It's restrictive somewhat, but compared to where we've been, but it is what it is. Okay, that's the story. So that's the bond market. Commodity wise, oil's basically flat. Okay, down a tinge. Natural gas has rallied somewhat, but the story is not here. It's Europe with natural gas, which we'll talk about in a moment. Gold is up a little bit, silver's up, copper's in a bit of a trading range, and these ag commodities are kind of sort of boring to watch, to tell you the truth. Not a whole lot of movement, tighter trading ranges, etc., etc. Okay, that's that. Currency wise, dollars down against North America, up against the yen, flat against China, basically flat against the euro and the pound, although both the euro's up to like 110 from 109 and change. Pound is 127. That's that. Crypto, we got Bitcoin up 0.4, Ethereum up 0.4, Solana, who cares? And indexes. So FTSE's dead flat, unchanged. The DAX is up 0.3. Nikkei up 0.8. China basically flat, and Hong Kong dead flat. And Taiwan was down 1.4%. That's probably based on our weakness yesterday in semiconductors. Okay, so there's your backdrop. All right, so you got the banks and Fed. So going into this number, it was an 86% of the respondents thought it was a 0 rate increase, and 14% thought it was, we're going to get a 1/4 point raise. It's gone from 86 to 93 and from 13 to 7. So the people are betting that there's no movement by the Fed in September, and I think that's probably a fair bet. Okay, we had Harkin speak. He's speaking again today. We know what he's basically saying. He says it's a wait and see situation. We have the privilege now to be able to wait, and I think that's what they're going to do. Okay, so that's kind of constructive for stocks. And that's the story, okay, banks and Fed. I don't like this time of year after big runs, but listen, it is what it is. The numbers aren't bad. There's no recession out there that I can see. And that's the story, basically. Okay, so that's the banks and Fed. China we'll discuss in a moment, as we will Russia. Crypto we got. Mr. Market yesterday. We had big oil and gas and solar were the two best groups on the long side. And on the short side, we had the banks, we had high PE tech, semis, FANG and EV were all on the weak side. Okay, so that's what was, and what's working, mostly patience, guys. Really, I mean, if you go in there and you trade aggressively, that's not the kind of thing you should do in this tape. It hasn't been anyway. What's been working is waiting for the setup, going in for it, and playing it and then taking a walk, because from one day to the next, there's no real rhyme or reason to action. Like yesterday, they clobbered them at the end of the day. Today, they popped them basically right back where they were the day before. And the same thing happened a couple of days ago. Okay, there's really very little follow through. Okay, so yesterday we had what, minus 28 in the S&Ps. Today we're up 32. Okay, so for trading purposes, it seems to be the best thing in this tape is to get flat at night, maybe keep 1 or 2 positions. It's really hard to see follow through. And that's, basically how you have to trade this tape right now. Okay. That's what's working anyway, for me. We have one governor speaking, I already said, right? China and US. So the US is putting those restrictions on investment in high tech in China. It's about freaking time. And I think this rhetoric and the ramping up of Chinese, restrictions and barriers and all this other stuff will probably continue through the election, because I do believe it's a hot button issue that most people are for. They want to be disassociated with China. So I think the politicians play to their constituents, and Trump started the ball rolling and Biden is finishing it. Okay, and we'll see what happens next. Whether it's with these two jokers, Biden and Trump, or 2 guys that we, come from left field. You never know what's going to happen here. So that's the story. China is lifting restrictions on travel to the US and Britain, among a few other countries that had been in place. And so maybe trying to soften the situation. I don't know, whatever. So that's from them. Poland is increasing troops on their eastern border. Putin is talking about North Korea, how close they are. They deserve each other, I think. Putin ready to discuss conflict with Ukraine. And there's a G20 meeting coming up, and he's now considering going personally. So that would create quite a stir, right? We'll see how that goes down. If he goes, it kind of signals to me that he's receptive to ending this conflict. That's how I read it. Maybe you guys think I'm whacked, but why else would he go except if he wanted backdoor meetings with the Western governments to maybe kind of figure out a way to keep his head and get out of this mess. So that's my read on it anyway. Ukraine recaptured a big town of theirs. The counteroffensive is, picking up, etc., etc. There's explosions in a Russian city. So now we see that Ukraine has the ability to strike within Russia, and probably Putin's taste for this kind of thing. Maybe not even taste for this thing. I mean, if the people don't like it, that's the end of him. So he's got to, the number one rule of a politician is to stay in office. So if that requires him punting on Ukraine, well, then that's what it's going to be. So that's why I'm thinking what I'm thinking anyway. OPEC is basically leaves their 23 world oil demand focus unchanged. Then there's a piece out that says retailers are using organized crime, and the experts are saying as organized theft as a reason for their lack of profits, and these experts are saying it's an internal issue. I think it's probably both. Then we have the Coach acquisition today, right? Capri. I've been talking about this with you guys. I've been taking the stock home long a bunch of times. Unfortunately, last night wasn't one of those times, but we saw those huge call buying, right? I talked about it ad nauseum. And sure enough, somebody knew. That guy's going to be investigated by the SEC for sure, but who cares? That's not our issue. All right. We saw big buying, and this time the guy was dead on. I mean, I don't know what the outstanding on these calls are, but I know they're pretty high. Let's see. I can't remember which ones. I think they were buying. I think they went out to make themselves look less guilty. Trying to remember. Just give me a second. Oh, there it is. November 42.5. They bought 13,000 of them. Okay, so my two rules: someone always knows, and it's never me. But that's okay. I don't mind. European gas prices. So futures bounced 40% yesterday. I don't know if you guys know that. Based on some LNG facility strikes in Australia. Okay. Experts are saying these rates are going to go higher, but you see the big thing here is how these unions are really, no matter whether it's in the US or elsewhere, they're basically having their way with these companies, okay, getting a lot more money. So it's even in Australia, and UPS is saying that a UPS driver on their new contract, at the end of the contract, they will be making $170,000 in pay and benefits, which seems like a lot to me, but I don't know. I'm not, I know they work hard, so I don't want to offend anybody, but that's pretty good money. I mean, I know that I don't want to get into it. Let me move on. 170 grand. You know what the weird thing is though? If you're in New York and you're a UPS driver, you make your 170 grand, right? And if you're in Arkansas and you're a UPS driver, you're making 170 grand. Well, it probably costs you I don't know, argument 60% less to live in Arkansas than it does to live in New York. So I don't understand that whole logic, but anyway, moving on. Analysts are saying that now that there's $1 trillion in credit card debt, they wouldn't be surprised to see consumers tap into the credit line of their homes, that the price, the values went up for extra money and a new source of spending. Social Security is saying only 10% of their applicants don't take the money until they're 70, which is the last time you can take it. And you end up getting like 30% more than if you took it early on. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Maui fires, it just shows global warming, I think, how it's, just, that was pretty sad situation. Hollywood, $3 billion in impact from these writer strikes so far. And that's kind of sort of the standout news. Individual names. We got Yeti on the long side. We got Yeti. Everybody knows their stuff. APP, AppLovin was good. Alarm was good. CPRX, HLLY is up 8%. Ramp up 7%. Disney was up a little bit, weren't they? Yeah, up $1.65. Talk about that one in a second. ODD, Sono, Baba was good. That stock's up $3. UTS, Win was good. Viasat, last quarter they were bad, this quarter they're good. Lionsgate was decent. Capri we discussed. Disney, so they're gonna raise prices on that streaming channel they have. Iger said they're trying to move people away from the payment into the advertising model. Because he says the advertisers for streaming, it's a better streaming is actually getting more dollars than linear TV. That doesn't surprise me since no one's watching linear TV. KVUE joined S&P 500. Yellow. Okay, so there's alternative financing. Alternatives out there. They're claiming. All right, so does this come after a bankruptcy filing, before a bankruptcy filing? The thing that goes in my head is this August 17th date when they delist the stock. I think that's an important thing. The other important thing, which would be on the negative side, is this MFN, the hedge fund that bought 30% of the company. They're the biggest. These guys are smart, number one, and they're the biggest holders of XPO Logistics, which is a competitor to Yellow. And so I'm thinking there must be some kind of plan. These guys really know this industry, and I would think that's why they made the leap that they made. So I think they got something up their sleeve. Okay, they're not going to just buy the stock and walk away like a bunch of dummies. Okay, they have a plan, and they have yet to tell us what the plan is. But I would be shocked if they didn't have a plan. Okay, so that's Yellow. Sabre insider buying. Bristol $4 billion accelerated buyback, which effectively means Bristol company thinks the stock's too low. Okay. On the negative side, we had Ralph Lauren, which came out the last. ORGM down 50-something%. ORGO kind of the same, group of thieves on those two, 30 and 54% respectively. Wolverine Worldwide down 20. PAR down 15, Plug down 12, STKL down 13. U-Haul missed. They don't miss a lot. Shows you people really aren't moving much. GRTX complete response letter, no good there. A bunch of offerings. You can look them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 syndicate kit offerings. Blink got an SEC subpoena. And that's basically it. I'm going to see if they can hold this market here, and I'll play it that way. That's my thinking anyway. If they can't, I'm not going in and buying on in the morning. That on the open. I'm going to wait and see how this rally holds. Okay, if the last few weeks you would think, you'll see some softness at some time or another. Anyway, that's it for me. Spartan, it's all yours. Let's have a good day, guys.
All right, thank you, South Beach guys. Morning, what's up? What's going on? Let me take a look at earlier. Just pull up the Discord here. If you guys are new to the chat and have already done so, make sure you click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. You're gonna pop into chat, so look something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in disclaimer section, click on that, give it a read, as well as go to the need to chat information section, scroll to the very top of the section. You got a link to the disclaimer as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both. In regards to risk reward, guys, I would not trade unless I set this up for myself. Go through this section, watch this first video here. Tells you how risk reward works. You can match a profile to you and your account, and then below this you have this risk reward calculator that you can use to calculate risk reward on the go with your risk reward profile. I put all this stuff together for you guys so you can do it. There's no reason not to actually have risk reward set up for yourself, but most people, the issue that they have in trading is they don't have it set up. So actually spend the time and do it. It takes like 20 minutes to really go through it all. Continue to scroll down. You have summary of how this chat works. Make sure the channels work on the left-hand side so you can properly navigate the chat throughout the day. Important to know to be looking. Continue to scroll down. How to read alerts on the options and equity side, breaking down how to read alerts on both sides. Pretty straightforward there. Options rules that we use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading different price contracts, etc. Right below that, SPX rules. Basically SPX rules that we use in the chat for all the SPX ideas there. Any of the small account less 10K, break it down. If you have a smaller account less than 10K, here's some rules, information, discipline. We got, you can put in place, you can better manage your account. How to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective by overlaying your own criteria on top of those ideas. And lastly, high conviction small account trades posted in that area when they do make sense. Let's take a look at what we got going on today, guys. A couple different things. It would be cool if I could pull this up. There it is. So what do we got going on today? A couple things here in the pre-market section. Everything's posted in regards to the different tickers we're looking at. Pre-market action plan here. You can take a look at that. If you guys haven't noticed, Beth's options charts posted as well. All right, let's take a look at these things. So what do we got going on today? Tesla, SWAV, Cyber, AAP, RL, Edible. Tesla gapping up typically the market, SWAV gapping down on that offering. Cyber announces second quarter 2023 results, gapping up on earnings. AAP gapping up on earnings. RL gapping down on earnings. Edible gapping up on earnings. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two, Tesla and SWAV. Let's have a look. So Tesla, guys, pivot to the upside today is going to be the 240.44 level holds, 247.47, 251.14. Unable hold 233.35 to 229.31 downside leaning bullish neutral there. Looking for a put higher if we can hold that pivot. SWAV pivots to the upside today. Going to be the 244.94 level holds, 233.18, 239.96. Unable to hold 215.75 to 210.19, leaning bearish on SWAV, looking for continuation lower. Let's take a look at Cyber. Let's take a look at AAP. Cyber 148.61 pivot level holds, 151.05, 152.47. Unable to hold 145.96 to 142.99, leaning bullish neutral there. AAP 72.18 pivot level hold, 73.44, 74.91. Unable to hold 70.23 to 68.88, downside leading bullish neutral on that name if the pivot is able to hold. Let's take a look at RL. Let's take a look at EDBL. RL pivot to the downside today is going to be 124.94, unable to hold 122.91 to 120.57, able to hold 127.26, 128.56 upside, meaning bearish neutral there. Edible EDBL pivot upside today, 180 level holds 210, that level breaks 266, unable to hold 150 to 121, downside leading bullish neutral on that. Let's take a look at SPY and FANG. All right, SPY guys. 447.45 pivot to the upside today. This level holds. My opinion, this level holds. Room higher into the 450.95 resistance breaks. We see the 453.90.59. Sorry, tested. Pivot unable holds. Room lower into the 444.56 support breaks. We see the 441.49 tested, meaning bullish neutral. All right, so that's a SPY, guys. So let's take a look at the rest of the thing here. I'm just gonna post all this. Go. So. Okay, let's take a look at the rest of the thing here. All right, guys. So Apple pivot to the upside today is going to be that 179.85 level is able to hold. We got room towards the 182.09, 183.35, unable to hold 176.87 on the downside. Going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point is able to hold. Amazon pivot to the upside today on Amazon, guys, going to be the 139.72 spot. Levels able to hold 143.79. That level's unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards 135.29, downside leading bullish neutral there as well. Let's take a look at Netflix. Netflix pivot. It's a little bit of a push back off the bottom end of its range. It's been consolidating in short term. 429.71 pivot level holds. 441.71 and then into that 458.54. There's a couple of resistance levels like 446. 30 level there right there as resistance, but I think it's kind of minor. Unable to hold 418.37, 412.10, leaning bullish neutral there. Meta, I like the look of this or a push back to the upside. 309.45 pivot level hold 317.25, 329.33 unable to hold 387, 289.18 leaning bullish neutral there. Let's take a look at Google pivot upside today, guys. Going to be the 131.07 level holds 132.18. Unable to hold 129.01 downside leading bullish neutral there as well. Let's take a look at the VIX Qs IWM. VIX pivots 1566, unable to hold 1495, 1459, able to hold 1634, 1699 upside. QQQs 372.40 level holds 375.72, 378.01, unable to hold 369.41, 367.42 downside leaning bullish neutral there. SPX 44.86 pivot level holds 45.03, 45.20, unable to hold 44.76, 44.63 downside supports. All right, so that's SPY, that's a FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at, guys. If you have any individual name questions for me, feel free to shoot them out. I'll give you my opinion on what I think looks good, what doesn't, etc. And we'll go from there.